Oh yes, time to talk about one of the most wonderful comedies that I've seen in recent years. Ted Lasso. So Ted Lasso is this Apple TV Plus comedy which follows the story of Ted Lasso, hence the name of the show. And basically, Ted Lasso is this American soccer coach, but he is assigned to be the coach of this British football club called Richmond. And the thing is, though, he knows absolutely nothing about football. And so throughout the show, he's trying to learn about football and how it works, whilst trying to get Richmond, the Richmond football team, to win games. And that's essentially the gist of the show. That's the main thing that's going on. But around Ted Lasso, there's all these different other storylines. For example, you get the storyline with Coach Beard, who's kind of like Ted Lasso's right-hand man. Then you get the storyline with Roy Kent, who is this footballer who people are saying that he's losing his touch, and he plays for Richmond football team, and people are saying that he's losing his touch. And also he's got this rival in the same team as him called Jamie Tart. And also that is where Keeley, this character who's not really involved in the football club, not really involved in Richmond Football Club, but is thrown into the mixer in a sort of love triangle. But then also you get Rebecca, who is the owner, the new owner should I say, of Richmond Football Club after going through a tough divorce. But then you also get Nate the Great, who Ted Lasso takes under his wing. And then you also get all these other storylines of all the other footballers as well. There's loads going on in the show. There's so many storylines, but they all revolve around the character of Ted Lasso. And that's essentially the premise for the show. So the premise for Ted Lasso, in case you didn't already know. And honestly, I absolutely love this show. I think is one of the most wonderful TV shows that I've seen in recent years. And I know I said that in my intro, but I just wanted to repeat again here because I was really surprised by just how joyful I found it. You know, you love all the characters in the show, and the comedy is laugh out loud funny, and also it's well made, and you know, it's the reason I started to watch things on Apple TV Plus. I'd heard so many good things about Ted Lasso over the years, and I heard it was coming back soon for Series 3, so I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a go. I don't think I'm going to like it too much, because I'm not really somebody who's into football. I don't get the whole football phenomenon myself. I just don't get it. So I sat down to watch this whole thing thinking, okay, it's a comedy about football, and I'm not going to like it. After about the first episode, I was about half an hour into the first episode, actually. I mean, the first episode is about half an hour. So more like after about 15 minutes into the first episode, I was in love with this show. I was laughing from minute to minute, from moment to moment, really. And I fell in love with all the characters, I fell in love with the storylines, and just, yeah, I really love it, and I really would applaud anyone to go and watch this show now. I encourage anyone to go and watch this show, but in case you haven't yet, because like I said before, one of the most wonderful TV shows I've seen in the past couple of years. And the reason it works for someone like me is because of the character of Ted Lasso. Not only is he amazingly played by Jason Sudekis, who I wasn't really a fan of before I watched the show. It's kind of like Steve Carell with the US Office. I wasn't really a fan of Steve Carell before I watched US Office, and now Steve Carell is actually, for me, in some of the best actors working today. He's one of the best actors working today. I didn't phrase that particularly well, but you get the point I'm making. And I kind of feel, I mean, not as much, but I kind of feel a similar way with Jason Sudeikis, an actor I never really was fond of before watching this show, but he plays that character so well. He plays Ted Lasso so fantastically in the show. He has emotional range from him, but then also he's full of life. And when you hear what Jason Sudeikis has been going for the past couple of years, but then you watch him in this show and you go, I'm sorry, but that is how you act. That's how you act in a comedy. He is amazing. But the thing is, though, the point I was making was the reason the show works is because of the Ted Lasso character. Because he doesn't really know anything about football, so he's kind of like me. I don't really know anything about football. I've seen football games over the years, but so has everybody really, in some sort of way. And so he doesn't really know anything about football, so he's learning about football along the way. You're learning along the way with him about football. So if you didn't really know about something, the show kind of teaches you, but it doesn't do it in a condescending or patronising way. It just does it in a really fun way, in a comedic way, in ways which work. It's such a wonderful show, and I'm just smiling from ear to ear every time I watch it. And all the characters are great. Like, I love the character of Ted Lasso, which I've already spoken about quite a lot. I love the character of Roy Kent, brilliantly played by Brett Goldstein, who, by the way, has this podcast called Film to be Buried With, which I've been listening to quite a lot recently, which is a really funny and really interesting podcast. But also, I love the character of Keely, that's what her name is. I said at the start of the review, but I almost forgot it then, which is played by Juno Temple. She's great in the show. I really like the character of Jamie Tars, who you really don't like at the start of this series. You really don't, but there's this really good character development going on there with his character. But then I also really enjoy the characters of Coach Beard and Nate. I mean, not to go into too much detail because you haven't seen the show yet, but I don't really like Nate by the end of the series 2. And if you see the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. But I love Nate in series 1, let's just say that. And also, I love some of the other side characters as well. Some of the ones which pop up. Oh, how do I always get Higgins as well? Higgins, I forgot the actor who plays Higgins, but yeah, Higgins is great in this show. I almost want to talk about Higgins, who is Rebecca's assistant. I almost want to talk about Rebecca, who's the owner of the football club. So there's so many things that I love about the show. I love all the football members. I love all the members of the football team in the show as well. And God, the characters are so well written and also so perfectly balanced as well in each episode. If the episode isn't really about a certain character, I'll just take a step back, and then when the character is important in one episode or something like that, you know, they'll put them forefront, and everything feels balanced. How do I like about it though? You know, the show has about 7 or some main characters, maybe 5 main characters. You know, how many is it? You got Ted Lasso, Roy Kent, Jamie Tart, kind of, Rebecca, Higgins, he's thrown in there quite a lot, Nate, and Coach Beard. That's what, 7 main characters when you think about it, and the show perfectly balanced all of them. And then also you get these background characters as well, who are also thrown into the plot from time to time, but none of it feels messy. It feels perfectly balanced, and you just get to love all these characters. And also, it's a really well made show. The production quality on the show is better than the production quality on most comedies and most sitcoms in general. It's really amazing how well this is made and how well it's shot, in my opinion. I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the writing, which is so well done. I fell in love with all the performances and all the characters. I fell out of love with some of the characters, but intentionally in the second series. And also, I love the production value, and I loved so much of it. Now, much like some of my other favourite comedies, there are some episodes which are better than others, considerably better than others. There's some episodes which I didn't love, and that's absolutely fine. I don't have to love every episode of a comedy that I love. You know, take a look at the UK version of The Office or the US version of The Office. They're 2 of my favourite comedies of all time. But the thing is, though, they've also got their naff episodes. And also take a look at a comedy like Friends, which is hugely popular, which I really enjoy. That has some naff episodes, particularly towards the end. And also a comedy like Frasier, which I have a great fondness for. That also has some not so great episodes. Same with, say, The Simpsons, which I still enjoy nowadays. I don't care what anyone says, I still enjoy The Simpsons. That still has some naff episodes as well, particularly in some of the later series, although not so much recently. It's actually kind of got back in its horse, you know what I mean? It's starting to get a bit better again now. It's starting to feel like it used to. But yeah, The Simpsons have had some bad episodes, just straight up bad episodes. Same with the British sitcom Gavin and Stacey, which I adore. Gavin and Stacey, I've watched, you know, the full way through about 50 times. That's not even an exaggeration. I've seen that comedy so many times. But that also has some not so great episodes. Same with probably most comedies that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. Parks and Recreation, that has some naff episodes. The Outlaws, which is one of my favourite comedies, which I saw in recent years, which is so underrated, by the way. Stephen Merchant comedy, which is absolutely genius. That also has some not so great episodes. You get the point I'm making. Extras, one of my favourite comedies I've ever seen as well. also got some naff episodes. So you understand the point I'm making. You know, every series, when you really think about it, has some amazing episodes, if you love it, of course, but then also have some naff episodes. And Ted Lasso is no different. There was one episode in the second series which is which is mainly all about Coach Beard. And I wasn't too fond of that episode. And also, some of the episodes in the second series, although still very good, did sometimes get a bit too emotional, in my opinion, and a bit, it focused more on the emotional side than the comedy side. And so I do think this first series, I do think the first series, about to say the second series there, I do think the first series of Ted Lasso is much better than the second series, but the second series still has a lot of great episodes. I'm not saying that the second series is bad, but what I am saying is that I do think the episodes in the first series are better written, and the second series does do the thing which most comedies do. It doesn't have the same sort of standard of episodes that the first series does, but it's still good. It's still really good. In fact, what I'm saying, the second series of Ted Lasso is brilliant. It won loads of Emmys, and there's a reason it won loads of Emmys. Awards don't normally matter whatsoever, but there's a reason Ted Lasso won all these Emmys for Series 1 and Series 2, because it is so well written. Both series are. I was making it sound like Series 2 wasn't that good. Series 2 is great. It's more emotional than Series 1, but it's still great. So you can so excited and get about the show because I love it so much. I really do. And I really wasn't expecting to. And I can't wait for Series 3. Series 3 is apparently coming in spring of this year. They haven't given a specific release date, so for all I know, it could be coming in the first week of March. It could also be coming in the last week of April. We just don't know. But I'm really excited to see where this story goes. And yeah, I know I said before, but I'm going to say it again, I love it. I love it, and I really would encourage anyone to watch this show, because not only is it laugh out loud funny, it has so much comedy, which works so well, which is something I don't say a lot of comedies nowadays that I say. I don't always think that comedy, I don't think comedies straight away, whether it's in films and TV shows, is really that good nowadays. But I think Ted Lasso and The Outlaws as well, which I reviewed last year on this channel, are exceptions. And what was I saying before? Oh yeah, that was it. Not only is the comedy laugh out loud funny, but the story as well is also emotionally engaging. It's compelling and it's well written. There's genuinely great character development in the show, and the story is genuinely great as well. It's a really well written story. And also, one other thing, by the way, I've heard, and I haven't really looked up on YouTube, but I've heard that the whole Ted Lasso character came from a sketch from Saturday Night Live. I might be wrong then, apologies if I am. But the fact that that character has come from, what I'm guessing is a sketch, and they throw him into the show. They've essentially made a show around a Saturday Night Live sketch. But the thing is, they made it work, and they've made it one of the funniest shows I've seen, really, ever, to be honest. I'll definitely rank it, higher than some of the comedies I mentioned, 2 minutes ago in the review when I was listing all those other comedies, which was still really good, by the way, but I'd probably rate Ted Lasso higher than something like Frasier or Friends, shows I really enjoy. I'd definitely rate it higher than The Simpsons, and that's a show I adore as well. But you understand what I'm saying, the comedy is just so funny. It's one of the best comedy I've watched, and it's so well written, and I'm going on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and I know I am. But I just wanted to make a video talking about how much I love about this show, because it is one of the most wonderful shows that I've seen in recent years. And the point of me saying that, the point of me constantly saying that in this review, is because so many shows nowadays, at least the ones I watch, are quite depressing. They reflect real life issues, issues that go on in the world. I understand why they do that, and I don't mind that they do that. But sometimes you just want to sit in front of the TV, escape into a show, escape into the characters, which you just really enjoy watching. And you can't help but fall in love with. And that's what Ted Lasso was, in my opinion. And that's coming from someone who's not a football fan whatsoever. And even I get invested in the football games in this show. There you go. Like I said before, Ted Lasso is one of the most wonderful comedies I've seen in recent years, and I highly recommend it. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that Ted Lasso, if I'm going to give a rating for it, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10. Honestly, this show is brilliant. If you haven't checked it out, I can't recommend it enough. I don't know if I already mentioned this already, but this show is also the reason that I've actually started watching Apple TV Plus, started to use it a bit more. I mean, luckily I don't pay for it, I'm not going to go into that, but at the same time though, Apple TV Plus was something I was hesitant to start using, because I've already got all these other streaming services, whether it's Disney Plus, Netflix, Prime, so on and so on and so on. I've got loads of streaming services already, and I didn't feel like I needed another one right now. But then, I heard all these great things about Ted Lasso, and I was like, right, gonna check it out, it's not gonna be for me. I have mentioned this already. God, my head's all over the place today, but I have mentioned this already. But yeah, I was like, Ted Lasso, is it gonna be for me? And then, because I thought I fell in love with it. Honestly, it really is. The reason I've started to watch Apple TV Plus a bit more. In fact, as I'm recording this review right now, I just finished watching an episode of Severance, which is another great show on there. And I'm looking forward to watching other series on Apple TV Plus, whether it's Shrinking, or so what's the other big one they have on there that I'm forgetting on the top of my head. Oh, anyway, yeah, you get the point I'm making. I'm starting to watch Apple TV Plus quite a bit now, and that's all thanks to Ted Lasso. And if one show can get me to watch a streaming service in general, then it's done its job. You know what I mean? I haven't really watched Netflix really at all over the past couple of months, and yet Apple TV Plus is actually really good for its series, at least from what I've seen so far. The Morning Shot's another one which is popular on Apple TV Plus, which I might give a go as well. But anyway, yes, going back onto Ted Lasso. Loved this show. Loved the characters. Loved the main character, the way it was written. Loved all the performances. Loved the way the show was written in general. It's an emotionally engaging show, but also it's a laugh out loud funny. At least it was for me, because all comedy is subjective, but I'd be surprised if you watched this show and didn't find it funny. I'd be generally surprised by that. And I just love the little nuances in the show as well. Of the fact that Ted Lasso always gets biscuits for Rebecca, who's the owner of the club, in every episode. And also, I love, Roy Kent and Keely's relationship. I love the character development with Jamie Tart. I love Rebecca's storyline as well. There's a lot of great character development there. And also her ex-husband, played by Anthony Head, who's great, by the way, in the show. Really, really good. Plays that character really well. And I've loved Anthony Head ever since I've seen him in, Merlin? Anyone remember that? The BBC adaptation of Merlin. I used to watch that quite a lot when I was a kid. But also, I love the character development with Coach Nate. So, was it Coach Nate? Bit of a spoiler actually, but Nate the Great, who, the character development you hate, but also at the same time, though, it's well written. And I know I'm going on and on and on. I need to stop this review now. I've been going way too much. But you get the point. I love all the character development. I love the show's written. I love the production quality. I love it. And if you are not watching Ted Lasso, you are missing out. You are genuinely missing out. Absolutely brilliant. I can't wait for series 3. I love this show so much. I really do. Really, really love it. And I know I said it before, but I'm going to say it again, just to finish off this review. Ted Lasso is one of the most wonderful comedies that I've seen in recent years. And so, all in all, like I said before, I'm going to say that Ted Lasso, at least the first 2 series, are a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Ted Lasso? Please let me know your thoughts on the comedy in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed it, of course. If you didn't, you don't have to like and subscribe, but I will feel greatly offended. But if you did enjoy it, please feel free to drop a like or subscribe down below. Do whatever you want to do, and thank you as always for watching. And I look forward to many more, both film and TVs and podcasts, coming very, very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!